Officer Pulling. Hello.
Ma'am, what crime are you trying to report?
I just wanted to get clarity on Pulling and your badge. What was your badge number again?
Ma'am, I've already given you that information multiple times. If you don't have anything to discuss with me other than the same thing multiple times, I'm no longer going to speak to you. Do you understand me?
I don't understand why I keep repeatedly getting tried. I haven't reported anything. You just called me and we haven't talked about anything.
I'm asking you what crime you were trying to report.
But I don't understand why I get intimidation. I can't know your name.
I'm going to ask you one more time. If you're not going to answer my question, there's no need to
Obviously,
continue the
there's a red
conversation,
flag if you don't want me to know your name. So I'll go ahead and
Ms.
submit.
Clark, what crime are you trying to report?
So I already went over the crimes of that law enforcement have. Pulling, Pulling, badge number 7961. Is that correct?
Ma'am, what crime are you trying to report?
You don't want me to know who I'm speaking? The reason why I'm trying to get accountable, I get spoof calls. So I wanted evidence on who I'm talking with, and I don't understand why I get bullied and repeatedly mistreated by the police department.
Have a nice day.
I've waited a long time, and you don't want me to know who I'm speaking with? I waited a long time for your call. This is really abusive to repeatedly experience this year after year. Younger. Yes, I have experienced a lot of psychological abuse and mistreatment from multiple different police departments and corruption. And I'm trying. What's your position? I'm sorry? You're talking really low. I can barely hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure what you asked me.
What your position is? Okay, so I'm not quite certain on what to do because I've been bullied and mistreated by a lot of law enforcement, and I'm ready for them to get accountability for trying to conceal crimes in environments. Repeatedly trying to their misconduct and inability to do law enforcement out of corruption. So I talked to Pulling. He didn't want to give any accountability to his behavior, so he didn't want me getting any information on who I was speaking with. But my calls are spoofed, so it's very imperative that I know who I'm really speaking with. So I've been railroaded and trapped in criminal activity without an escape or remedy because of police misconduct and a lot of misconduct of other parties that they're enlisting into their abuse to not get accountability. I'm trying to interrupt that pattern. So Pulling called me as well as another party. What kind of accountability is that? Can someone call me that won't be psychologically abusive and try to conceal crimes that are being committed to me? Is that too much to ask for law enforcement to not be corrupt?
What kind of corruption is going on? I don't understand.
Yeah, this is a repeated pattern that I've had to endure years. It's very psychologically abusive. That's what Pulling was doing. It's a form of a torment to have someone repeat themselves repeatedly over and over and pretend like you don't understand and you don't have clarity, but you're really trying to torment and conceal crimes. But I've repeated that I talked to Pulling, and there's been corruption with the police department. And I'm not quite certain on how to combat police departments not having accountability for their criminal activity and torment.
Okay. First of all, I'm not sure why you're calling us if you think we're the ones that are corrupt.
Well, the problem of it is that I don't think that would be first of all. I think first of all, we need to uncover why police departments won't do law enforcement and why they're not repeatedly being held accountable for criminal activity and misconduct. Because in the United States, you don't have an option to take bribes and deprive someone of law enforcement and then demand them never get law enforcement again when crimes are repeatedly committed to them.
There's nobody here taking bribes.
Well, I think that they are, because if someone is risking their livelihood by not doing a report on a death threat, and that's a crime, that means that people are compromised.
For 1 second, please. If you have a problem with the police here in Victoria and you believe that they are committing crimes, what you need to do is call the Texas Rangers and they will investigate it.
Well, here's the problem that I'm trying to interrupt. Can you inform me on why I can't repeatedly report crimes year after year, location to location that I flee to?
Nobody is telling you that you can't report.
Okay, so what I'm trying to do is report crimes in each location I'm robbed of that ability. Pulling did it and multiple different other parties. That is definitely what's happening, and I'm trying to derive a paper trail. So once again, I would like to be able to freely report crimes without being bullied and mistreated. So I'm wanting information on misconduct. What is accountability for police that abuse their power to bully and psychologically mistreat someone for trying to report crimes to help conceal them? But if
Okay,
I'm
well,
repeatedly deprived of any kind of rights and responsibilities for misconduct with the police, I can't combat it. So I'd like to know what kind of misconduct would that be, and what kind of statute is there for police abusing their power to mistreat someone for trying to report crimes and intimidate them.
okay, you need to call the Texas Rangers so they can investigate if there's even a crime being committed.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So when someone is reporting crimes that the police department's committing, you have to call the Texas Rangers? And then when you are asking questions on what kind of
That's
misconduct is
because
that and the
that's what it
code, what
is.
does it state anything about police abusing their power to or torment
Yeah.
someone and intimidate them for reporting crimes?
The thing about it is, you're accusing the police
I just,
department of
we're
committing
deflecting and I'm being
crimes.
gaslit. This has happened years. Is there a particular reason why you're refusing to answer that question on police misconduct, intimidating
I
someone
don't
that's reporting
know.
crimes?
I've never studied the law. That
Okay, so you don't have that information. Okay, so is there a particular reason why no one is trying to do anything to investigate why police are denying me law enforcement and won't let me report crimes, and why I'm being railroaded to go to the Texas Rangers instead of finding a police that will be have integrity and actually do investigation? Why am I railroaded to go other places to get law enforcement
ma'am,
instead of from multiple different police departments?
if there's a specific crime you're wanting to report, I'm more than happy to have somebody come investigate that.
Well, the problem of it is where there's already a history of misconduct and bullying by the police department. So I'm not safe in this new environment because they're upset that I've been exposing crimes. So I've had pulling and I think her name is Hummage try to conceal crimes and try to gaslight and mistreat me and
There's
intimidate me
nobody
for their
concealing
misconduct.
crimes. There's nobody concealing crimes.
You're sure of that? Because they said that at Health and Human Services. And typically that's a red flag that someone is trying to conceal it because you're not psychic and you haven't done an investigation for you to know that. And if I'm telling you that I can't get law enforcement and I'm reporting crimes and you see that there's reports that aren't investigated, why would you think otherwise? That's a red flag that
Because
something's amiss. Do you have a lot of
because I
people that can report that there's police misconduct and police are committing crimes?
no.
Okay, so you automatically assume that it's all that isn't that FBI for police departments that commit crimes and all kind of other agencies? How do you just assume without any kind of investigation or any tools or knowledge that someone is delusional and there's not any crimes being committed if they're being deprived of law enforcement? If multiple
There
different environments are depriving
are
them
you
of
gonna keep
investigation,
talking over me?
I always get gaslit. I just don't understand where the
Ma'am,
love
are you
and
gonna keep
compassion is.
talking over me?
Are you willing to answer that question now?
Okay, if you're not gonna let me speak, I'm gonna hang up, okay?
I've had to endure this years. You can speak, sir. I just don't want to be controlled. I don't want to be
Okay.
violated and tormented and
Nobody is
threatened to not
controlling
get
you.
law enforcement to conceal crimes. But if that's how it has to be, nothing's been done. Go ahead, sir. The ball's in your
Okay.
court. I have to be disrespected trying to get law enforcement. Nothing's
You
been
are
done.
still not letting me talk.
I just didn't want to be disrespected if I had that option, but go ahead. I wish I could set a
No,
boundary not to be
nobody is
mistreated.
disrespecting you.
I've been disrespected. I'm just not being heard.
I've heard every word that you said over and over and over now. So if you expect the police department to manage itself, that's not how it works. You go to a higher level and have them investigate if the crime is committed.
Okay, so let me make
There,
sure I understand. So, with law enforcement, you can't report police committing crimes to the police department.
don't you see that that would be a
I'm
conflict
just
of
trying to make you get clarity, and each time I'm trying to get clarity, I never get it. So, when calling to reporting the police department to report crimes that the police are committing, you can't
Yeah,
do it calling the
I'm
police
gonna
department.
hang up on you now because you keep talking over me.
Are you
You're
slandering
not
me?
letting
This is
me
a
speak.
pattern. This would
You're
be the
not
third
letting me
time that
speak.
the law enforcement has hung up to cover for crimes. Are you there? Are you there? Yes, I have been reporting misconduct with multiple different police departments, and I just like to get direction on what to do. Are you able to give me and answer some questions that I have?
No, ma'am. I am just the switchboard. But if you want to make a report, I can send you over to our intake center, and they can document your information.
Okay, will they give me questions on what to do as a remedy to police misconduct and criminal activity surrounding me? Will they give me direction on how to combat a lot of public corruption?
That I'm not sure, but I'm sure they may have the resources to help you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you can transfer me.
Okay. When I send you over, you're going to hear an automated message with a long list of options. Choose option last name.
Yes, is there an ID for you? I just wanted.
9247.
I'm sorry, what was that?
9247.
Yes, I have questions. I call for questions.
May I have your name?
I would want it to be anonymous for the moment.
Would you like to provide a phone number?
Yes.
Because I do have a phone number here. I want to.
Yes, I had some questions. If someone is reporting federal crimes, are they always investigated or calling?
I can't answer that. I'm not part of the investigation process. I'm part of the intake. So
Okay.
we take the initial reports here. I do not decide if it is investigated or not.
Okay. But as far as, is there anyone that would have the answers? Because I'm kind of confused of if someone's repeatedly reporting crimes, why it's not investigated by any branch of law enforcement. So I didn't think that you could. How would I know if it's getting investigated?
Well, you're accusing us of not investigating, but you don't know that. I cannot tell you if it's being investigated. You can file a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act. You can't assume it's not being investigated.
Well, the reason why, because I've had multiple different false arrests and I've relocated in each environment that I relocate, my abuser pays off the police department, and I have emails stating this. And then there's corruption with courts and multiple different conspiracy.
Have you already reported this?
I reported it years back, but in each different location, do I do another report that other crimes are being committed in different locations that I flee to?
Oh, if you have filed a report, you don't need to repeat the same information. But
even if new crimes are being committed,
give us that information.
If new crimes are being committed, don't report those.
Okay, ma'am, if you have a crime to report today, please tell me what it is.
This has just been a pattern for calling years. Am I able to get questions answered?
I cannot give information.
But I asked you if you said that if you've already done a report in the past, and I said, I have a good day for asking questions. These calls are spoofed. If
you don't end the call, you'll be connected to the operator again.
They're spoofed. That's why I have to record my calls. Not everybody's this crooked. They know nobody will ever believe my story.
FBI Dallas.
Yes, do you have an ID?
I'm sorry, who?
Do you have an ID? Operator ID?
I'm operator 15.
Okay. I had some questions on if you're reporting crimes, new crimes. Do you call it in each time to the FBI to report new events?
If you want to make a report, yes, this is a switchboard where I can send you to the intake center where they will take your information.
I've already done that. And I just wanted, why would they not rob me of my ability to report new crimes?
So you've been sent to the Dallas, not to Dallas, not to the intake center, but they wouldn't take your information?
No, I asked her, this has been a pattern that's followed me all the day. I think that it's incredible, but I've read a book that you can hack someone's network and counterfeit calls. I just don't fathom that for years that all parties would conspire with crimes and cover up. Nonetheless, that I tried to report a new event and she didn't want me reporting it like multiple different police did today. And when my abuser's mad, I've noticed that calls are more psychologically abusive. And when I'm begging for my life, even calling 911, people repeatedly hang up, leaving me in it, even though it's criminal. They've had no accountability. So if her job task, and I'm calling out the blue and didn't give her my information, and I told her that there was corruption in what I was going through, why would she try to use the alibi that I've already reported it? And I said that there was new events that I wanted to report, and she hung up to cover for it, like the police department did 3 times.
Okay, so I apologize that you ever had to go through that. But from what you've explained so far, it sounds like there are 2 different directions that you can go to report your information. If this is a hacking situation, you can submit that information to ic3.gov.
I've already did it and it was ignored, so I'm just trying to figure out what strategy that I need to take to interrupt this repeated pattern of misconduct and criminal activity through law enforcement. Why would the government repeatedly mistreat me like this and not be held accountable? Why would I get violated even if government officials are doing it repeatedly over and over again, trying to report crimes that are repeatedly committed to me? Why hasn't
Okay,
one interrupted this high level of corruption? They're pretending like these felonies aren't felonies because of who's committing them. So I went through an
okay,
extended process to put my information in there to get an operator and for her to hang up like they've done years to try to conceal crimes, and there's been nothing repeatedly done about it. Taking
so how
someone's
long ago?
freedom 20 something times in multiple different environments and then railroading someone and blacklisting them from law enforcement from someone that's psycho and doing all the damage that's been done is serious.
Okay, so ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, first question, can I have your name?
It's Kiana Clark.
Sienna
Clark.
Clark. Okay. And on my screen, I see 4693741 ic3.gov. How long ago was that submission?
It's been a while, but what I'm trying to communicate is that for years I have been deprived law enforcement from all kind of avenues of law enforcement with extreme events going on, putting me in lockdown in jail on false charges, depriving me of my constitutional right to go to court, falsifying information and records and documentation for cover up and to conceal crimes, enlisting civilians in cover up and criminal activity. So, I did submit that, and all my reports for all different kind of law enforcement avenues of it have been ignored. Texas Rangers, all even at Dallas FBI, I was handcuffed and bullied trying to report corruption with courts and how crimes were committed to keep me away from my children. I went to the Texas Rangers, was arrested there. Each time I'm arrested for reporting crimes, they put me and bully me in jail and deny me of my constitutional rights to appear at court, and then I'm slandered. And the things are said that didn't happen to conceal crimes. So I'm
Okay, so
just not
I
quite.
asked about your submission to ic3.gov because it is not going to be a quick turnaround.
Try that
It's
this has
not
been
going to
going
take a
on
few
almost a
days.
decade. It's been almost a decade, so I'm not quite certain on why I did it to IC3 and multiple different other attempts to report how the misconduct and felonies racked up by government officials, why it's repeatedly ignored, and why the FBI, whoever I was calling, tried to make me believe they can pick and choose who they're going to do law enforcement for. All crimes weren't investigated. If someone was reporting a crime, they choose the crimes they want to investigate. That's
Okay,
what
so Ms.
armies full
Clark,
of people want me to believe.
again, so if I'm understanding you correctly, the last time you submitted information to ic3.gov was a decade ago?
No, I've been submitting it for decades and never got a
Okay,
call
so
back. And I
what's the
think
most,
that we're deflecting on the fact that there's probably something amiss by me getting handcuffed at the Dallas FBI. I'm just not quite certain on why all my environments are not startled by my experiences and why they just let it blow over like that's just everyday activity. Being at the FBI trying to report crimes the police department repeatedly gets committing, getting handcuffed and violated. Is that just a normal everyday, events for corruption? Are all citizens treated like that? Because most armies are disregarding the treatment like that. So I think that the disconnect is why I've been calling yours on my phone, and they want me to believe that the FBI has an option on if someone was reporting crimes, on if they will investigate the crime, like the police department. I thought all crimes that were reported were investigated, not picking and
not all
choosing.
crimes,
I'm sorry.
not all crimes, ma'am. Truth be told, it has to fit inside of the jurisdiction of the FBI. It has to
Right.
have a
All
federal
FBI
violation.
crimes. Yeah, there's a lack of communication. All crimes that the FBI investigate. All public corruption, conspiracy to violate rights crimes, the C3. All those crimes that the FBI investigates, why would the FBI pick and choose and deny me law enforcement for actual crimes?
It's not that we're trying to ignore you, ma'am. The thing is, we are limited on resources and manpower, so there is going to be
Well, that's
picking and
pretty
choosing out of
serious
it.
if someone's freedom was taken 20 times and all multiple different jurisdictions of law enforcement is bullying a citizen and for profit and hanging up in her face to conceal crimes year after year, trapping her in abuse, taking her freedom, putting her in maximum security, leaving her in jail with time served. I'm not quite certain on why the FBI would refuse to investigate something as serious as that. I know other parties that have said that other parties that they know were being investigated for